What is up, everybody? Welcome to Behind the Brand, episode 1. Yeah, he saw it. He saw it. That'll be on there.
Alright, so you see parts here in the middle, a little bit of the TV.
You get the other good parts?
And this is like, imagine this is your thirds, that's the other.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So like, just over the thirds. Like.
What's going on, guys? I am Jarrett Seng, the founder and designer of Raceseng. We decided to try to do a little Behind the Brand episode series, which basically takes you, the consumer, and puts you through the everyday walk of what it takes to do what we do here at Raceseng. So it's going to be a weekly journey, sort of a digest of what it takes us to design, develop, and manufacture the parts we make. We might get into some business rants on my part too, but I really just want to bring you guys into my world of Raceseng, and also the guys that are here and Ryan behind the camera right now, what it takes us to do this stuff. So the episodes are going to feature everything from me talking about product design, SolidWorks modeling, concepts we're working on, to how we develop the fixturing and tooling to make the things. And I'd be anxious to see what you guys think about these episodes. Leave us some feedback, and we'd love to hear what you guys want to see next. So an important question is, why are we going to do something like this? I often have people that come into this shop that have no clue that this is what we do, or the scope of the work we do. And for us as a brand, it's really important to show you guys that and bring it in, because our why as a business is also aligning about why we're showing you the passion that goes into the craft, the creativity that goes into our design. And that all wraps up into the fundamental idea that what Raceseng does is we make authentic products. Authentic can be strewn in a couple different ways of thinking, but for me as the owner, authentic is that the ideas that we have here for products spawn out of our head. They come through our hands in the form of creativity and sketching. They go into the computer and get modeled in CAD. It's stuff that we create ourselves, and then we go through the craft process of it. And if that's what we do as a brand and our consumer doesn't understand that, we're not showing them the process. That's the true why of why we're gonna do Behind the Brand. So the first thing we're gonna do now is take you out in the shop. There's machines hauling out there currently making tow hook rings, but I wanna talk to you guys about a new tow hook product that we have coming out. So let's go check it out. Yes, yeah, that's the sort of, hey Corey! All right guys, so we're in the Raceseng design studio right now. And I want to talk to you about a new product that we've been working on for a little bit. As you know, that we currently have a line of tow hooks. You know, I often feel that there's sometimes a need for a similar product, just in a different context or different use of materials. So tow straps are another thing that I've always wanted to get into, and I just had to figure out how does it fit into the context of our current tug system, and it didn't. So meaning that right now this system works where one shaft services a tow hook, a license plate relocator, a GoPro mount. And basically I couldn't get the hardware, the metal hardware, to stay with inside the bumper beam while incorporating a strap on the end of it. So we basically had to develop a new mounting system to take a strap. And we are going to do more of a universal style where you can bolt it in, and we're going to do a car specific style where you screw it in like our current tow hook system. So the interesting point about how we get to something like this is, as usual, you know, the CAD software we use is SolidWorks. So what you're seeing here is a virtual digital model of the idea I have for the tow strap. So this is our mount, which will screw into the bumper beam, and here is the strap. And when you start something like this, it's never as simple as just saying, let's make that. It's about how does it fit within the brand? How do we make it be Raceseng while still being unique? So oftentimes, things will literally fall on their face after I get into CAD and I'm like, it just doesn't feel like us. I can't do enough to make it unique. This one I want to walk you through how we've kind of gotten through that process. This little mount here, so this is an individual part, and we model it up, and then I start playing around with the strap. So the hard part is it's very easy to make something look and function in here. How do we get to a point where we actually align manufacturing processes with an actual hard good? So step number one was we finished the mounts. I test fitted it in our FRS out there, and we also made a universal style mount, and I 3D printed them. Then the tough part for me is we don't do textiles here. I have been in the process of doing this for almost 1.5 years now, of finding vendors that I can work with. We can make these all day. We just don't do this. I don't have the equipment to do the stitching. So what you're seeing here was our first shot at a vendor that dye subliminated the Raceseng on one side and the R on the other. I got them in and I was disappointed. So the next step was I found another company that could do dye sublimation for me. This was a lot better. The R is nice and crisp. The strap material is a nicer red compared to this. So it's interesting how sometimes when you look at reds and you see this red and you think, oh, that looks pretty decent, right? But then when you put another red up to it, you realize, wow, that red really doesn't look as good. Looks crisp. It's much improved over the previous vendor. Once we started looking at it, it sort of just felt like the logo was just placed on the webbing. I wanted to, from a design process, figure out what else can we do to push the idea of having our logo on both sides of the strap in a different way, and that goes beyond just putting it there. So what could we do to this that has, or what process could we align with being able to put our logo on it that has a different touch or feel, because this just doesn't feel like much. It's just, I know we could do better. So the next step was another process, and this is just nothing more than embroidery. Getting a proper embroider and the needle and the machine to work properly to embroider the webbing was a failure on this part. You can see how the Raceseng just looks jagged, doesn't look sharp in its lettering. The upper end of the R logo here is not good compared to what it should look like. Why I'm sitting at this point and showing this to you guys is so you can understand and see firsthand the steps of dye sublimation, a vendor, another vendor, then we try embroidery, don't like the embroidery. We kept pushing and pushing, and I often saw, and I love the idea of nylon twill patch, and that's what spawned this. But I wanted to do something a little bit more unique from a design perspective. My designer language is, I merge more towards integrated design. And what I mean by that is I think it's really cool that on one end of this patch you have the R. The patch actually wraps all the way down over the strap and gives you a location to the Raceseng on the backside. It has I guess a premium, sort of like a premium value and feel to it versus something like this. I mean, you could see why as design progresses, if we're going backwards in the process and not improving or learning, you're not going in the right direction. Even though we had some pitfalls and some setbacks on this, the whole point is that we're pivoting in other directions and learning and moving forward. I'll even look at the way that they're doing the webbing, meaning that, you know, I would assume some people are gonna like the R being out, you know, it'll stick out of the car like this. So if you look at this, see how this front edge is shown? I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, why don't we just take that edge, put it in the middle, and so that way when you wrap this top piece over top and then do your stitching, this edge here is actually up here and it's tucked in the bumper. So it'd be like going from something that looks like that, or, you know, basically hiding it. And, you know, those are little nuances. I know it's not a big deal, but for me, when I see that strap and I see that face there, that close to our logo and stuff, there's gotta be a better way to do that. So you just think and evolve the idea, and those are little nuances that I think where people think of Raceseng and when they see our stuff, that they recognize. I have to maintain that truth through everything. That is this patch actually going to stay attached to the nylon webbing because it's sewn on? Because if this gets pulled and the threads that are attaching the patch to the webbing break, that's a horrible integration of form and function. Even though this looks good, we got to go beyond looks. This has to be able to get pulled. So I just got the testing results back, and cool enough, the patch failed after, was the last thing to fail. Little nuances, but to me, that's important because I'm no different than you guys when it comes to a product. I want it to be perfect. I have expectations, and we always hold ourselves to those expectations however we can. And this was a good little gig for you guys to see what it takes to go from something in CAD to a bunch of failures, because a lot of this was failures. A lot of it was a lot of downfalls that I go home at night and I'm like, what am I doing? This isn't working. It's frustrating because we can do and machine and cut and grind and fabricate really well. And as soon as I need to lean on somebody else, I have to bring them up to our expectation levels. And we hold a high standard for stuff that I don't think it's hard to get them to understand that. So it takes the right company for us to work with. But cool gig. Hopefully you guys see these come out soon. So finished talking up about the tug straps. I want to basically take you guys out in the shop, see sort of where the magic happens about how we make parts, and just give you a little gig about what we're doing right now, show you some of the context of the machines to get you to understand how we actually make something like this. Just got back from SEMA. Sorry, I missed this part. Got back from SEMA 2018. Had hands down the biggest meeting I've ever had as a small business owner that could take little Raceseng into a whole new sphere. So stay tuned. All right, so we are in the heart of basically Raceseng. So people often ask, what is Raceseng? So we're a design and manufacturing company. It just so happens we love cars, and we make parts that make you love driving your car more. It's the core of what we want to do. But you know, what you see here is, a lot of people thought this was given to my father and I. It's my dad over there running one of our vertical mills. This stuff was bred out of blood, sweat, and tears. This is what makes the parts that you guys see on our website. And the cool part is, we just talked about a tug strap. Go figure, what we're making today are the tug tow hook parts. So what you're seeing here is op one of our tow hook shafts being in process. This part, it starts as a raw billet blank of alloy steel, gets turned, machined, drilled, tapped, and then eventually Corey will take it to another setup, hold it here, and machine the threads on the backside of the part. So the neat part is, we're in a neat opportunity to take or add value as a company by turning, milling, crafting raw materials into design solutions for you guys. That's one thing I'm always thinking about when I'm working on parts, and how do I add value to a piece of steel? I mean, as weird as that sounds, that's really what we do here. It's a different SKU number, obviously, because it's two totally different heights, but what you're seeing here is a finished shaft. Now this turning work is just done, so the round work is done. This needs to get a hex milled on top of it yet, which we're doing right now on one of our other machines. But the neat part about this is that we control the manufacturing of the whole ecosystem of parts, because we also make the adapters which screw into the front of here. This is still in a raw turn state. It has to get milling work done to it, but what's going to be cool about the guys that watch this and follow this episode is that you can see the process of this stuff actually happening. That's a wrap for BTB.1. Yeah. And I wanted you to do just quick little logo development.
Yeah.
Just take a little bit and think about, you know, Joe. Ryan, you want to be in on this shot?
His is episode 5, this is.
Yeah, we're actually planning it out now. Corey, you should have seen the look in his face when he knew he's coming in 2 weeks on episode 3. All right, guys, that's a wrap for BTB.1. I'd love to hear what you think about this. What do you like? What do you dislike? What do you want to see in the shop that we don't show enough of? This is about you guys, about us showing internally what we do and how it relates to you and the parts that we make. So please, comments below. In the meantime, enjoy the drive.